Okay, guys, so on your piece of paper that you took out, this is what you're going to do. We are writing an essay, like I said in the writing concept stuff. We're writing an essay, and you're practicing writing a thesis statement, okay? And you're doing a thesis statement based on like a prompt that you're given, like a question, okay? This is the prompt that you are going to use for your essay for Tom Sawyer. So you need to write this down, okay? This is the prompt. Are you ready? Oh, can you see it? Can you see it? Okay. Which character is the most interesting? Oh, there we go. And why? Take a minute, pause the video if you need to, and write this in your notes. So pause the video. All right. So which character is the most interesting and why? Now, what you're going to be doing is as we read the story of Tom Sawyer, we are going to write down the characters that we encounter or we find, and you are going to write down things that make them interesting, okay? We'll do this together in the beginning just to kind of get an idea of what to do, and then as time goes on, I'm going to let you do it on your own, okay? So I'll help you in the beginning, and then after that, you'll be on your own. Okay, so on your paper, make sure you have this written down. Okay, and the very first character we're going to talk about is Tom Sawyer, because hello, it's about Tom Sawyer, right? Now, how you do this in your notes, it doesn't matter, okay? But I will do my own version of this, and you can copy how I do it if you'd like, or you can do your own way. All right, so I'm going to erase this now. Okay, and I'm going to write Tom Sawyer. You could even just write Tom if you want to. It doesn't matter. Okay, so once you write his name down, I don't care how you do it, but make sure you leave enough space in your notes for you to have a lot of stuff written underneath his name. Okay, you could even do it like, if this is your paper, okay, you can have Tom Sawyer and then divide it, and then you'll have another name of a character. And then I would honestly maybe do only 2 characters per page, okay, because you need a lot of room to write. Okay, if you want, you could divide it Tom Sawyer. I know you guys probably hated that noise. And then you can have another character. Like, honestly, can you see that line? You can do it any way you want, okay? All right, so what we're going to be doing is as we read, you need to find evidence or things from the book that say that, yeah, Tom Sawyer is really interesting, okay? And then once you find all this evidence, so once we finish the book, you'll have all of these characters and all of this evidence saying, hey, this person is interesting. Then you have to decide which person, which character is the most interesting to me, okay? And then you'll write an essay describing why that character is the most interesting to you. So your thesis statement will look like, Tom Sawyer is the most interesting character because, and then you'll have all this evidence saying why he's the most interesting character. You could choose a different character. I was just using him as an example. Okay? All right. So let's begin reading. We're done with all of that. So go to chapter 1, page 7. Okay? Got little pictures there. It's awesome. Okay, you ready? This is called the Great Whitewash. Now, first off, think, what is whitewash? This is a term that they used a long, long time ago. Remember, this is in the early 1900s, okay? Now, I'm going to start reading, and I want you to think. You're going to hear whitewash a few times and think, what does whitewash mean? And try to use what is said in the book to try and understand what they're talking about. Okay, let's find out. Tom Sawyer was always getting into trouble. He was the kind of boy who just could not resist adventure. Tom lived with his Aunt Polly. Huh? We got another character. So you should write down Aunt Polly. Okay, I'll write down Aunt Polly. Okay. Lived with his Aunt Polly, his cousin Mary, and his half-brother Sid. I'm going to tell you now, do not write down Mary. That is, I think, the only time we hear about Mary. You can write down Sid, though. He is the half-brother. Okay, so I would write down a couple things so we know who this person is. So Sid is the half-brother, right? Aunt Polly, we already know she's the aunt. Okay? All right. Everyone was used to Tom's mischief. So that's him being like, he would get in trouble a lot. So they were used to him getting in trouble a lot. But Sid never missed a chance to tell Aunt Polly when he thought Tom was up to no good. That's how she found out that Tom was playing hooky from school and going swimming. So he's playing hooky from school and going swimming. So what do you think hooky means? He's going swimming, so that means he's not going to school, right? So hooky means he is skipping school. He is not in school. Now, as a punishment for his behavior, Tom found himself faced with the chore of whitewashing 30 yards of fence on a sunny Saturday afternoon. And what was worse, it was one of those warm summer days when everyone else was out playing ball or swimming. And there was Tom, all alone on the sidewalk with a long-handled brush and a bucket of whitewash. Okay, look at the picture. A fence to be whitewashed. You have a bucket, you have something dripping down the bucket, and you have a brush. So what do you think whitewash means? It means paint. He has to paint the fence, okay? So it's a really nice summer day, and he has to work. Doesn't it stink when that happens? Okay. He looked at the fence. It seemed enormous, and he knew it would take all day to give it only one coat. Tom began to think of all the fun he had planned for this day, and his sorrows multiplied, so his sadness got bigger. Soon his friends would come down the street, and he shuddered, right? This is weird, guys. I'm doing this all in a video. It's fine. Where am I? And he shuddered to think how they would laugh to see him whitewashing a fence on such a beautiful day. There must be a way out of this situation. Tom emptied his pockets and looked at his worldly wealth, so what he owns. Bits of toys, marbles, and trash. He might be able to bribe someone else to help him for a while, but there wasn't nearly enough to buy a whole day of freedom. Bribe. What's bribe? I want you to look it up, so pause the video and look up bribe. Tom thought for a while. Then an inspiration burst upon him. He picked up the brush and began to spread the whitewash slowly and peacefully over the fence. In only a few minutes, Ben Rogers came walking by, eating a big juicy red apple. Tom's mouth watered at the sight of such a treat, but he kept on painting and pretended not to see or hear Ben at all. "Hey there, Tom, what's up with you?" called Ben. "It's too bad you have to work on a day like this. I'm just on my way to the river for a swim. Too bad you can't come along." Tom looked at Ben for a moment, then said, "What do you call work? Why, ain't that work?" Ain't is an old way and a southern way. In the South, they say this a lot. Ain't is isn't. It's what we call slang, okay? Well, ain't that work? Well, isn't that work? Just saying. Why, ain't that work? Asked Ben, pointing to the fence. Well, maybe it is, and maybe it ain't, answered Tom. All I know is that it suits me just fine. Come on now, don't tell me you actually like it. Like it? Well, I don't see why I shouldn't like it. It isn't every day that a boy gets to whitewash a fence. That put things in a new light for Ben. He stopped eating his apple and began watching Tom work. Maybe there was something to this whitewashing after all, he thought. Hey, Tom, let me try it for a while, Ben asked. No, no, protested Tom. Aunt Polly entrusted this fence to me, and I can't just let anyone take over such a big job. But Ben continued to beg Tom to let him have the privilege of whitewashing for just a little while. Tom kept refusing until Ben offered him the rest of his juicy red apple. That had been what Tom was waiting for. Bribe. Okay, it's when you get somebody to do something for you, and basically you don't have to do anything. So he bribed Ben to give him the apple, which Tom really wanted, and get Ben to paint the fence, which Tom did not want to do. So he got him to do something that Tom got Ben to do something that Tom did not want to do. And Tom got something in return that he wanted. Okay, so that's a bribe. Tom sat in the shade and munched the apple while Ben swished the brush back and forth, sweating at his work. It was a wonderful idea, and as the other boys came by, Tom kept trading with them too. So he got other boys to do his work, and they would give him stuff. By mid-afternoon, the fence was completely whitewashed, and Tom was the proud owner of all sorts of treasures. His inspiration had certainly worked. All he had to do was make his chores seem to be fun, and the other boys were eager to do them for him. When the fence was completed, Tom went into the house. Can I go out and play now, Aunt Polly? He asked. What? Already? How much have you done? It's all finished, Aunt Polly. Tom, don't lie to me. I can't bear it, she warned. Look for yourself, answered Tom as he led his aunt to the window. Well, I never, exclaimed Aunt Polly. You really can work when you put your mind to it. She was so pleased with Tom's work that she presented him with a large, juicy apple and told him he could go out, but to be home in time for dinner. So he made his aunt think that he had done all the work, but he didn't. He got his friends to do it. And so she rewarded him with a big apple. Tom smiled, and when she turned her back, he slipped a sugar-coated donut into his left pocket. Well, sneaky. Within minutes, Tom was out on the street as free as a bird. As he passed the house where Jeff Thatcher lived, he saw a girl in the garden. Oh, we have a girl. A new girl he had never seen before. Ooh. She was lovely. Her blonde hair fell in 2 long braids almost to her waist. Tom fell in love instantly. Instantly! Holy cow. He tried to attract her attention by standing on his head and showing off in all sorts of silly ways, but she ignored him. Luis, Omar, Jesus, have you ever done this to get the attention of a girl? Okay, sorry. O'Dally, have you ever done this? Okay. She ignored him, so she did not pay attention to him. Tom vowed that before the week was up, he would win her love. He skipped down the street, his head full of romantic plans and adventures. Oh, he's in love, guys. Okay, so, who is the most interesting character? Okay, have we found anything in chapter 1 that makes Tom interesting? I think so. Okay, so if we look at what he did to all these boys, getting them to do the work for him. Okay, so what we'll do for Tom Sawyer, something that makes him interesting. Okay? Interesting doesn't necessarily mean a really good character or a really bad character. Okay, you're going to find that Tom does some things that aren't nice, but they make him interesting. Okay, so for this one, he tricked his friends to do his work. So that's all I'm going to write down. I'm going to write tricked friends to do his work. Now, you can write this down. If you don't think it's interesting, you don't have to write it down. This is what I find interesting, okay? And if you agree with me, you can write it down. Now, if there's something else that you think is interesting about Tom, write it down. Now, what I need you to do is you need to do just like a little sentence like that, okay? And you also have to say the page numbers that this is found on. Okay, so this, we'll say it starts on 12 and goes to 14. So pages 12 to 14. That is what you need to do. That is your evidence. Okay? All right. Good job, guys. So that's chapter 1, and we'll go on to chapter 2.